All right, let's jump right in. We're going to explore an ancient and really powerful parable today. It's a story that seriously pushes the limits of what we think about good, evil, and, well, the human potential for change. This is the incredible story of Angulimala. And yeah, it starts with this, just an absolutely chilling detail. The man at the center of our story wore a trophy, a garland, that marked every single life he had taken. It's such a visceral image, right? It tells you everything you need to know about who this man was at the start. So let's really set the scene. In the ancient kingdom of Kassala, there was one name that was basically synonymous with pure, raw fear. And that name wasn't just a name, it was literally a description of what he did. Angulimala translates to garland of fingers. His very identity was tied to his brutality. He wasn't just some bandit, he was his gruesome trophy. And believe me, his reputation was earned. He was described as a living storm of violence. Entire villages would become ghost towns at just the rumor he was nearby. The king's best soldiers, armed to the teeth, none of them could stand against him. His name was like a whispered curse, a guarantee of a bloody, terrible end. But into this landscape of just absolute terror walks a single, solitary figure, the Buddha. And he decides to walk down the very road that everyone else is fleeing from, heading straight into the heart of all that darkness. And the reaction from people is exactly what you'd expect, right? Villagers are running up to him, their voices shaking, begging him, "You can't go, turn back, he will show you no mercy." But the Buddha's response? A gentle smile, a calm resolve. He just thanks them for their concern and keeps walking. The difference between the two is just staggering. So, from his lookout point, Angulimala spots the lone monk. He must have thought an easy target. A cruel smile probably spread across his face. He grabs his weapons and just charges, running with the full force of a predator that knows it's about to make its next kill. I mean, the scene is set for a very quick and very violent end. And then, this is where the story takes a sharp, almost unbelievable turn. The laws of nature themselves just seem to bend. Angulimala, this unmatched warrior, is running as fast as he can possibly run. And yet, he cannot close the distance to the monk, who is just walking at a slow, steady pace. Can you imagine his confusion? Turning into rage? His muscles are burning. His mind is just reeling. This makes no sense. It's not natural. Finally, he's breathless, completely bewildered, and he just gives up the chase. His physical power has totally failed him. All he can do is scream, his voice raw with frustration, just demanding that the monk halt. And with that one shout, the whole confrontation shifts. It's not about swords and speed anymore. It becomes a battle of wills, a battle of words, a confrontation for his very soul. The Buddha turns, his eyes filled not with fear, but with peace, and he delivers this devastatingly simple response. He says, "I have stopped, Angulimala." He means he's stopped all acts of harm, all violence. Then he turns the bandit's own word right back on him. "But you have not stopped. When will you stop?" He's saying, you're the one who's still running, chased by your own anger and hatred. And this question, it doesn't land like an attack. It lands like a revelation. It's like a key turning a lock deep inside Angulimala that he didn't even know existed. And in that one moment, the entire foundation of his reality just starts to crumble. He suddenly sees his whole life, not as this testament to his power, but as a horrifying, empty void. That necklace of fingers, once a source of pride, now feels like an unbearable mountain of sorrow. His weapons just clatter to the ground, totally useless, as the terror of Kosala falls to his knees and just weeps. But you see, this moment of breaking, it's also a moment of beginning. This final part of the story is all about what happens next, that long, incredibly difficult path from monster to monk. His transformation wasn't some kind of instant magic trick. It was a process. It started with that total surrender. Then came discipleship, where he had to learn a completely new way to live. But, and this is so important, it included penance. He had to face the brutal consequences of his past. And only after all of that did he finally find true enlightenment. And that penance was very, very real. I mean, when he would go into villages to beg for food, people recognized him. They threw stones at him, screamed curses at him. They could never forget the pain he caused. But Angulimala, he didn't fight back. He bore all of it with patience because he understood it was a debt that he had to pay. Through years of this kind of devotion and meditation, he achieved what seemed absolutely impossible. He became an Arhat, a being who has attained enlightenment, someone who is finally free from this cycle of suffering. The man once defined by inflicting pain had found a profound and lasting peace. And that, right there, brings us to the core of this entire parable. Why do we still tell the story thousands of years later? Because it's a timeless testament to this one really radical idea that no one, absolutely no one, is beyond the possibility of redemption. So I'll leave you with this question to just think about. If a man who wore a garland of his victim's fingers could completely transform his soul and find ultimate peace, well then what does that say about the nature of darkness itself? What pain, what anger, what part of ourselves or even other people is truly and forever permanent?